Have you ever found yourself looking at an opportunity, like a new chapter, a new relationship, a dream you've carried in your heart for years, or even something that genuinely excites you, and yet something inside you still hesitates? And because of this internal hesitation, you start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm afraid. Am I self-sabotaging right now? What's holding me back? Am I overthinking this? Is my faith strong enough? But what if your hesitation isn't resistance toward this new opportunity at all? What if you're simply trying to understand your capacity and whether this opportunity fits the life you're intentionally building in this season? Because I think many women judge themselves for hesitating without becoming curious about where the hesitation is coming from. You might assume that if you're not immediately excited, immediately confident to jump in, ready to take the leap, then something must be wrong with you. But what if wisdom asks questions before it says yes to something good? What if discernment is choosing to pause before you fully commit? What if hesitation isn't about being scared or doubting the opportunity? What if it's awareness? Because one thing I've learned over the years is that not every pause means resistance. Sometimes a pause is wisdom kicking in. Sometimes pausing to reflect isn't hesitation at all. Sometimes it's discernment. And taking the time for mind, body, spirit, soul, and heart alignment isn't active opposition towards a new opportunity. It's often self-love, self-care, self-preservation, because sometimes a pause is your mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul trying to understand what saying yes will actually require from you, especially after a long-term relationship ending, after spending years carrying responsibilities, managing emotions, navigating uncertainty, taking care of everyone else's needs, and putting yourself last. You don't simply wake up one day knowing exactly what you want, what you're capable of carrying, and what this next season requires of you. And yet, many women expect themselves to. You may tell yourself things like, I should be further along by now. I should be over this. I should be ready. I should know exactly what I want. But healing doesn't work that way. And capacity doesn't work that way either. As a former structural engineer, I spent 12 years designing buildings, and one of the most important things engineering taught me is that every structure has its limits. Every structure has capacity. Every structure carries weight. But before engineers add more weight to an existing building, they don't simply assume that the structure can safely carry it. They evaluate it, they inspect it, they calculate the additional load and ensure proper support. Because the question isn't whether the addition is valuable, the question is whether the existing structure can safely support it and integrate it into the foundation that's already there. Think about that for a moment. The addition itself may be wonderful. The vision may be exciting. The opportunity may be incredible. But before adding more weight, engineers ask, can the existing structure carry it without collapsing? And lately, I've been wondering how many women are asking themselves the wrong question. Instead of asking, why am I hesitating? A better question might be, what am I trying to carry right now? Because those are very different questions. One assumes something is wrong with you. The other invites understanding. One creates shame. The other creates awareness. And awareness changes everything. Sometimes it's not that you're resisting or opposing the opportunity. Sometimes you're simply evaluating what this opportunity will require you to carry. You're trying to understand what this next season will actually ask of you. You're becoming honest about your capacity and your current bandwidth. And that's not weakness. That's discernment. That is wisdom. Because after a major life transition, you can become accustomed to carrying more than you were ever meant to carry alone. You might be carrying expectations, grief, guilt, responsibilities, and after doing that for years, it becomes difficult to tell the difference between opportunity and obligation, between purpose and pressure, between excitement and exhaustion, which is why some opportunities feel overwhelming even when they are great, not because they're wrong, but because you're wisely considering whether they fit the season you're in right now. And that's an important distinction, because we often assume that if something is aligned, it should automatically feel easy, but that's not always true. Sometimes the opportunity is right, but your capacity still needs attention. Sometimes the door is open, but you're still rebuilding behind closed doors, and there's no shame in that. In engineering, if a structure doesn't have the capacity to carry additional weight, we don't criticize the structure. We reinforce it, we strengthen it, we support it. And that may be exactly what God is doing in your life right now. He may not be withholding something from you. He may be preparing you to carry it well. The reason things feel slower than you'd like may not be because you're failing, and it may not be because you're lacking faith. It may be because you're wisely evaluating what this next season will require. God may be reinforcing parts of your foundation that will need to carry greater weight later. Because just like engineers, God doesn't build by framing the roof first. He starts with planning and pouring the foundation. And sometimes that strengthening process feels frustrating when all we can see is the delay. But what feels like delay may actually be preparation. What feels like uncertainty may actually be development. And God may be doing deeper work than you can currently see. Because I've learned that some of the most important work happens long before anyone else can see it. Foundations are built before buildings appear, and God may be doing the same in your life. That may be exactly where you are right now. You're not resisting, you're rebuilding. You're not avoiding the vision, you're learning what you're meant to carry in this season. You're not lacking faith, you're leaning into discernment. Because there is a difference. And one of the most compassionate things you can do for yourself right now is stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what do I need? Because what you need may not be more pressure. It may not be another goal. It may not be another thing to fix. What you could need might be rest, support, clarity, permission to acknowledge where you are, not where you think you should be. Because healing isn't about forcing yourself forward. It's about becoming honest enough to meet yourself where you are. And when you do that, something beautiful begins to happen. The shame starts to loosen its grip, the pressure starts to ease, and little by little, compassion begins to replace criticism. Because you begin realizing that you've been carrying far more than anyone ever knew, including yourself. And that's why this matters so much. Your hesitation isn't evidence that you're broken. It's evidence that you're becoming aware. And awareness is often the beginning of wisdom. So if you've been questioning yourself lately, if you've been wondering why you're hesitating or having an internal battle with yourself, why you're uncertain about moving as quickly as you think you should, I hope you'll consider this possibility. You're not resisting, you're learning to understand your capacity, and that may be one of the wisest things you can do. Because the goal isn't to carry everything. The goal is to faithfully carry what God has called you to carry without burnout, without exhaustion, and from a foundation strong enough to support it. If today's message resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, or share it with another woman who may need to hear it today. Thank you for being here on Irina's Avenue, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.